welcome back to Window to the Soul, a 25 to tentative 40-minute podcast that Mr. Phillips and I do together here at Richmond Window and Renewal by Anderson. Thanks for tuning in if you're on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, we can see you right there. And Google Podcast, I believe. We're in the smaller room today. We have been pushed away due to budget cuts, and we are in a smaller, more convenient, more personal room.
Right. It cost a lot to get me here.
It really took out of the budget to get Kyle in here. We had to go from the big room to the small room, and now Andrew had to hop in just to make up for those cuts. We have a third host, so if Andrew chimes in.
I'm here.
Andrew is behind the camera. We've got
the board and a mic.
He's set up.
Dangerous.
With any quips and comments, he can come in and he can fact check any statements made. But we're here with Kyle Summers.
It's me. It's my name. Hey, everybody.
I thought it might have been Summer, so I paused. I said Kyle Summers.
Right. Do you remember Suzanne Summers from the 80s and early 90s?
No, I was born at the very latest of the 90s.
Fair enough.
So I probably don't.
Andrew,
Mr. Phillips, do you know?
Nothing. She sells exercise equipment now.
Yeah, I have an idea who you're talking about. Not a great idea, though.
Yeah, she was in a sitcom. I can't remember the name of it.
She sells exercise equipment now?
Yeah, or did. I don't know anymore.
So it wasn't successful exercise equipment?
No, I've told everybody for years and years that she's my aunt. I've never met her.
Oh.
I don't know that she actually is.
That seems quite deceiving.
It's my claim to very minor fame.
Oh.
And I'm going to hold on to it, Steve. So that's my aunt.
Right.
We're very close.
Wow. So I definitely want to touch back on that, but I'm just doing a quick little introduction of you, Mr. Kyle Summers. You are the production manager here at Richmond Window and Renewal by Anderson.
Yes.
And what we've been doing on the podcast, something fun just to get the creative juices flowing. If you were to walk into an Uber driver casually and he said, Mr. Summers, what do you do? Mm-hmm. How would you explain it to an Uber driver?
Okay.
And this is an Uber driver that you're not necessarily, conversation's not flowing great, but it's just like, all right, he keeps talking. Let me just tell him what I do.
Okay. I'm trying to bring this guy in.
You're trying to just give him a quick, not an elevator pitch, but a more personal, this is what I do while you're sitting in the back seat of the Civic. Okay. And he's taking you to the airport.
Okay. All right, here we go. Hey, man. So what I do is I make dreams. And by dreams, I mean I find needs and I make sure they're filled. Okay. That's too much. Really, what a production manager does.
He would probably look at you. He'd want a little more. He want more specifics.
No, a production manager. All right. So there's what a production manager does, and then I kid. All right. So for me, it really is the primary function is acting as that liaison between the subcontractor, the installers, right, that we work with, and the company itself proper. So that bridge is me. I am the bridge. Whatever their needs are, their expectations, their goals, I'm trying to make sure that matches what our goals and what our needs and expectations are as a company, right?
Yeah.
So these things don't always match up, and trying to make them match. Typically,
you move the puzzle pieces.
That's it.
You connect the puzzle pieces.
That's me.
I love it.
So that's primary function. You've got some add-ons to the warehouse itself, right? We have three fine gentlemen in the back that make sure everything's staged and where it needs to be, that we have all the parts and pieces and hardware in place to make sure the job gets done right the first time, and trying to oversee and coordinate with them any of their needs in the back as well, and making sure we're all on the same page there. So it's kind of multifaceted, a little bit of juggling. A little bit of wearing many hats, different feathers. But that's the long and short of it. That's more or less. So really it's, you got to be a people person, and you have to be able to, really be able to approach and kind of gather, how to, deal with each individual, because nobody's the same, right? So everybody's got a different personality, and then trying to match all those to make a winning figure in the end.
A personable sandwich.
That's it.
I love it.
That's it.
I definitely want to touch back on that. Before we go, could you move this just a little bit closer? I don't want to miss any of the meat of what you're saying, just in case there's some room echo.
This is close enough,
That's
Steve.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
No one's called me Steve. The only person that calls me Steve is my father sometimes.
Oh,
not that I don't like it, just no one ever opts for Steve.
Okay.
So I like it. It's comforting.
Fair enough, man. I'm all about comfort. I want us to be close.
I want this bond to be stronger.
Fantastic. Absolutely.
Steve. Every time I think of the name Steve, I think of a cubicle worker.
Yeah.
When you say Steve, it's Steve.
I like to throw on some flair on the end of that thing for you too. So it's, Steve Colvert. I'm not going to call you Colvert.
Well, it's covert, technically. Covert? Covert operations, yeah.
And there's no L.
No L. Covert.
I've been misreading your
My
So
email. Maybe I
the
don't have
entire
my.
time.
Did I misspell my sign off then?
I don't think so.
I
I
might-
think I
that-
misread it.
That seems like something I would do.
I'm willing to take responsibility for this.
Okay, that's what I like about you.
Same.
But it might have French heritage. It could be Colbert,
Right.
right? And then not to be mistaken for Stephen Colbert.
Yeah. That's where I was going with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy to. It wasn't hard to figure out.
No, but I appreciate you try to connect those dots.
Let's try, man.
Yeah.
Let's try.
So, how long have you been with us here at Richmond Window and Renewal by Anderson?
Right. So I've been here since January the 3rd of this year. Relatively, I'm a new person.
I'm pretty new.
Yeah.
You have more of tenure than I do, actually. I was going to compare us, but I just got here.
It's okay, man.
Yeah, I jumped the gun on that one.
Yeah. But I've been, I don't know, very minor capacity involved or familiar with it from my wife, Danielle Summers, who also works with the company. So that was more or less my introduction to the family, so to speak.
Right.
And I saw enough good things from that, which I'm sure we're going to get into, to want to make the change.
We can't give any spoilers.
Right. But enough from that to make the change over here. So
Yeah,
again,
absolutely.
I've been here since January, but I've been familiar and involved since the year prior.
Right. I flipped my hat backwards because both of ours had ours forward, and I wanted
Right.
to be a little different.
Yeah.
So your wife worked here. You came on, if I'm not mistaken, to a beach trip
Yes.
to Virginia Beach,
Yes.
and you saw all of the people wearing green.
There was, many colors.
There was a lot of technical Anderson green and Anderson
Absolutely.
black and white.
Yes.
And you saw something perhaps in that culture that attracted you to the company.
Right. So I can give you the real rundown of how that whole thing
That
went
would be
down.
perfect,
Do you guys
yeah.
want that?
Yeah.
So,
Andrew, do you want that? Andrew, would you go ahead and make sure just...
Yeah, I know. I want that.
Andrew wants it.
Andrew
All right.
wants that.
So, so here I am. I'm working previous employer, and wife says to me, "Hey, we have this big fancy beach trip that the company's taking us on. I get a +1, or do you want to come along?" Of course.
Right, who would miss that?
Right, who would? So down to the beach I go. And when I get there, I decide, as one, a partial rib to my wife, and also a perfect opportunity for me to explore different social dynamics, I'm going to be as friendly and chipper to every stranger involved in this company I meet. In my mind, it's going to make her, shy about it, and,
Right.
and I can never miss an opportunity to mess with my wife. But
Right.
and then 2, gives me an opportunity to just try out random stuff. Hey, that's a nice shirt.
A
Whatever
social
you got, just
experiment.
over the top stuff, right?
Right.
Because I'm never going to see any of these people again, right, Andrew? Huh? Like, dude, I'm just going to run into this one time, and that's it. So there's no, it doesn't go over well. Okay, well, that's fine. I'll, probably be years before I see you again if I do at all.
Right.
And now I work here, and I see all those people all the time.
And now here we are in
And
this
it
small
was,
room.
and I made it, as big a, I think I made a lot of friends. I think it was a 98% success rate.
Conversion,
A friendly
98
banter.
conversion
There were
rate.
a few people that really did not like my stranger self walking over telling them how great their shirt looked.
Yeah. Were they all
And
wearing the
how
same
nice they
renewal
were.
shirt?
No, not at all.
Because maybe it would seem disingenuous, but
No,
if they were
I had
wearing
a,
unique shirts, I would say you were right on the money.
They
with
did,
that.
man. Hairstyles, whatever I could find. Like, you know what? Those shoes are awesome. That was a great choice tonight. I want to let you know that maybe you put them on absentmindedly. But I appreciate your decision.
But did you run the this is my aunt Summers from her workout videos to the 80s bit, or is that just for today?
No. If I could get the conversation to last long enough, maybe I could run into that.
Okay.
That's a bit of a
Right.
stretch, right?
Uh-huh.
But
I don't think so. I think that would have been totally appropriate.
I wish I had you there in my corner.
Yeah, I would have.
We could have got a lot more.
I'm like the guy in your corner in the boxing match
right.
who cuts you when you start bleeding too much and just heals you up, and then gives you that squirt of water.
That's me. Yeah.
No, that would be me.
No,
in the
I'm saying
corner.
I'm trying to get the water, man.
Right. So you went to the trip. And you said, okay, this is a company. Now, I want to know about the conversion rate with the antics. Did you come home and your wife was like, what did you do? Or was it, what did you do?
No, it was more of like, she was just kind of embarrassed at first, and then everybody seemed to, accept my form of friendliness.
Right.
So really, like I said, 98%. So really, she was just kind of embarrassed at first, and then just like, yeah, it's my crazy husband, and then on from that.
Right. Did you own the crazy husband act?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Because
think you
it's very near and dear to natural Kyle anyway.
Right.
So that worked out. In fact, you can make the argument that was me. There was no act at all. But
Some
I made
would
a lot
say
of, I
I
made a
was
lot of
just being
friends.
authentic.
Yeah. I made a lot of friends. I made a lot of names to faces and whatnot. So it was nice.
The
It was okay.
camaraderie.
It worked out.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
is when we were doing like little events and activities and things afterwards, and I recognized a lot of people from the night before, and they absolutely recognized me.
Like,
so.
that's Kyle. That's the guy who had the
That's
aunt
that
in the
guy.
workout video from that one time.
Yep,
In the 80s to 90s to sometimes.
Absolutely. With Chuck Norris. Don't
Right.
forget that part.
I love
That's
Chuck
important.
Norris.
Yeah.
I do know who Chuck Norris is. Andrew, do you know who Chuck Norris is?
I know who Chuck Norris is. I think the most upsetting thing to me, though, is I know Kyle came up to me and was like, "That's a great Hawaiian shirt," and I thought he meant it, but he just was doing it to everybody.
Yeah.
And
He
now,
had, he had no
now
interest.
that compliment is no more.
He
In
had,
hindsight, yours was by far the best one.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah. I don't know if I can believe that.
he
Please
had
believe me.
absolutely no interest in your Hawaiian shirt.
I know it's painful to hear this now.
But
That's right. You were. 100%.
Yeah, I know.
You were there. I was doing that.
It was a
there.
beach party. I wore a Hawaiian shirt to the beach party.
yeah, however, your antics are a perfect example. Have you read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People?
No.
Well, he talks about like that's just such a way to you won over everybody at the beach trip.
Yeah. He
You
stole that.
complimented a certain thing.
Yeah. He stole that from me.
Yeah, no, that's textbook with that social dynamics.
I'm gonna write him a letter.
You should. I think I don't know if he's still with us.
No.
It was an old book.
Okay, that's okay.
No, but speaking of this, just to transition into kind candor.
Sure.
When I talk about you with people in the office, they mention a kind candorer.
Mm-hmm.
In your own words, how would you define kind candor in the workplace?
So it doesn't matter what kind of day you were having, or if you can see on somebody's face, maybe they were having a rough day, maybe they've had a tough conversation on a phone, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I can pick up on read on that pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I'm usually that guy myself. So mirror image, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? And for me, it's I don't know. It's really easy to get into the hey, good mornings, and just the standard kind of rigmarole. Whereas me, I like kind of go over the top and I don't know, give people just strange nicknames just for fun and see how they go with it, or whatever, and make a point very loudly. Sometimes, sometimes
they're wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
there you go.
just target them.
And just make a point to approach people and hey, how was your weekend? How was this going? And whatever it is, and it's not from a point of like I don't care. Like no, I do. And showing that, and then retaining that information for the next conversation you have. Right.
Right.
But just make a point to be nice to folks. Why not? The world's full of enough less than nice things. So why not take a couple 10, 15 seconds to try and brighten somebody's day with a hey, how you doing? Or whatever it is. Why not? So, yeah.
Yeah. Where does that conviction come from?
Well, life experiences, things of this nature. That maybe that's how I want people to interact with me.
Yeah.
Nobody does. So if I put enough of it out there, maybe it'll come back to me.
It's the golden rule.
I'll wait for it.
Absolutely. And I think
One day.
it's hard to, it's very easy to get enthralled in the everyday, coming to work,
Right.
seeing the people, doing the thing, going home.
Yeah, it's a difference in being, going through like robotic motions versus trying to live a bit and make something of it. I mean,
Right.
not every day is going to be peaches and rainbows and sunshine, right? We'll have our tough days, but trying to rise above that and be as positive and friendly as you can be. That's key. Now, again, I say this, but I am not immune to getting a bit of the grumpies,
Right.
right?
The wrong side of the pillows.
Yeah. People will tell you.
Yeah.
there are instances where I can definitely be in my feelings or just waking up or whatever the day is. I'm not the brightest of morning stars, but I try and get into my emotions and go through and cheer up a bit.
I think it'd be an impossible standard to hold you to if you
Man.
didn't
So
have
like,
a grumpy.
The point is, by no means is it an all the time thing with me, but I certainly try and put my best foot forward and interact with anybody.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's how you get respect.
Yeah.
100%. And how is that like, I know because you oversee a few guys. You oversee the installers?
Yes.
All of them?
Installers, warehouse. Those are more or less my direct folks, as well as installers, not just subcontractors, but our lead development program installers as well. So these are guys we're training to be installers to work in house.
Yeah.
So it's quite a few folk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, they obviously respect you. And what do you think, like, what entails that good leadership? Like, what are the fundamentals of being a good leader, in your opinion?
Okay. So,
And if you could move this mic just a little bit closer.
I'm sorry, I'm far away from it.
No, it's all right. I just want to make sure I get all the meat.
Yeah, no problem. So with anybody, okay, if you're in a leadership role, something I've picked on from following bad leaders, right, or things I've decided, from different instances of my life of things I would never do if I was in this position, and kind of remembering that and going forward with it. For me, one of the number one things is never ask anyone that you're leading, okay, anybody under you or however you want to put that, to do something that you yourself are not willing to do and or capable of doing.
Right.
So if I'm going to say, hey, we have to climb this tree, I'm not going to stay on the ground and watch you climb the tree. I'm going to climb it with you. And I try to do that with everything, any interaction I have. If I'm going to ask you to do this, because I'm either going to do it with you or am fully capable of doing it to show you the right way to do it. Rather than reading from a sheet of paper and saying, hey, do this. That's key. Because if you're working with somebody, if you're sweating beside them rather than sitting in the AC, pointing out or delegating a thing, you get a lot more respect that way. Always sticking to your word. If I tell anyone anything that I'm going to do this or I'm going to be here or what have you, I'm going to do it. There is no question in that. Is Kyle going to forget? Is Kyle, I'm going to be doing what I said I did. And that's, I'm told that's garnered a lot of respect as well.
Yeah.
And those are, sticking, putting your money where your mouth is, saying, if I'm going to do a thing, you make sure you follow through with it. And then leading not from a position of superiority, but from a position of camaraderie, I guess is maybe the better way to put that.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a man of your word.
And those are my two go-tos. There's other fun stuff in between, trying to, it's, I'm very familiar with two different leadership styles. You have the don't get too close to people because then it's hard to make a decision based, because then you have history with them, your friends, that stuff. And then I've always gone the other route where I try to build a relationship so that if we do come to a hard time or a hard task needs to be done, I found it much, better to see a person say, hey, I'm going to make sure I get this done because Kyle needs me to, right? As opposed to insert random, manager person's name here. It's not. Kyle's always had my back. I'm going to have his in this instance. And I've done well with that. However, it is a razor thin line that you have to kind of be on the side of, and managing that can be a bit of a task. Yeah. But trying to be honest with what you're doing and what your expectations are, making sure those are up front. I've never had that fail me as of yet.
What are your suggestions for having those hard conversations? Like, how do you approach those? I know, like, going back to what you said about the beach trip, obviously you're socially aware. You are methodical with your social approaches, one would say. But what is your exact mindset before you go into these conversations, or like if you're firing someone, or if you let someone go, or you're bringing someone on, or something has happened, now that you're already, very close to them, which I think is a huge, awesome move. How do you go about having that conversation?
Be direct. Don't beat around the bush. Have their respect. Because again, I try to approach every conversation as how I would want this conversation dictated to me, right? And again, I'm not like everybody else, nor are they like me, but that's usually my foundation. And again, being direct and to the point of what the issue is. I'm not going to say, oh, it's maybe this or it's maybe that, or hey, I'm sorry. And no, this is what it is. You know it, I know it, and this is where we're at with it. Whether it may be. So firing somebody is a whole other bag of tricks in of itself. That one's not my favorite task, nor do I think it'd be anybody's.
You'd be a crazy man if you. That'd be the wrong side of the pillow.
Some people thrive, from what I'm told. But for me, that's really the antithesis to everything I am, is to want to go to that route. But it happens from time to time. But again, I'm not to ramble on it, but to my main thing would be
absolutely, please go.
Again, sticking to your points, facts, not speculation, not what have you, with what the situation is, and then coming to the solution and coming to it together. That's another thing I like to get to as well, is if I've got a problem and I know that person isn't seeing the problem, I'm going to, again, not just flat out say this is what it is. I'm going to try and lead them to their own, understanding of what it is. And once they have that, they're going to retain it. Rather, if I'm just saying it to you, it's going to go in one ear and out the other 9 times out of 10. And we repeat the process.
Right, you figure it out along with each other.
If I help you figure out and get to that problem and understand what it is, then you can start to come up with solutions as well. Hopefully it's once we both agree on solution-wise, then we've really got something. And that takes a long time to kind of get to that
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with different people's train of thought, personality, all
Everyone's
these fun
different.
variables you can mix into every conversation. They're all unique.
Absolutely. And what is the desired mindset you would like if you could tell someone how to come into this conversation? If you could speak to the person that you're going to talk to, like how would you want them to have their mindset before going in? Like what would your suggestion be? Like if you know something's wrong and you're meeting with boss Kyle,
Right.
what would you like? What's your starter pack for them coming into that conversation?
So with this one, it's kind of what I would wish them to come
Yeah.
with, right? So the number one thing is to be as open-minded and not self-critical as possible. It's easy to just say, "Oh, this thing happened, and I'm going to beat myself up about it." Hi, Paul. But trying to again open-minded and look at it not just from your perspective, but from all,
Right.
because that's key. Any problem or whatever the situation is being able to see it from multiple perspective points to really get an idea. Because it's easy just to stay in your lane and your eyesight of what it is. And I didn't do that, and I didn't so and so or whatever. No. Look at it from the customer's point of view. Look at it from mine.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see?
Yeah.
And trying to have that before we get into the conversation, because then it's much, much easier if you've already taken those steps. I don't necessarily need to point it out to you or guide you to it.
Mm-hmm.
May not necessarily be the answer you want, but that's would be my response.
Right. How do you help them like reach that? Like what's the...
Oh man, that's not always easy. That's
Yeah.
a tough one, because it depends on the person, right?
Yeah.
So again, sometimes you have folks that will easily, empathize.
Right.
And have that sense of empathy, the ability to see the other person's take on it. Some folks don't. It's me. And trying to get that's a little bit more pulling teeth than you'd like sometimes, but not impossible. And again, traveling back to the previous bit is the relationship I have with the individual.
Yeah.
In theory, I can say, look, it's not whomever, corporate suit and tie or whatever the case is. This is me. All right. I'm trying to explain this. We're here to have this conversation. It's not me talking down to you. We're trying to come to a solution together. This doesn't always work, but in theory, sometimes these things can be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. It's like lowering that ego before you go in.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not always easy.
Yeah.
But it can be done.
Right. I mean, and you kind of like said that, like what your tactic is to lowering the ego is just put yourself in the customer's perspective.
100%.
Empathize.
Anything, customer wise, that's something I learned very, very early on.
Yeah.
In a similar industry to this one. I don't want to go into like but similar industry in the way you interact, especially with customer interaction. And the number one thing you got to learn quickly is any problem you're facing, you have to look at this from the customer's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that, then you've already skipped ahead 5 steps trying to gauge to it. If you can get it from their perspective and what their needs are, and then meeting that expectation.
Yeah.
If you can, or if you can't. Sometimes there's stuff that you can't get in the way, but finding a means, and then if you can't, then it's making sure that the customer understands why you can't, and communicating and all that fun stuff, right? So communication key as well, and there's a whole bunch of different parts and puzzle pieces here in front of me.
No, I love it. I want to unpack them all.
Yeah, man. So that's one of the key bets. Teaching someone that. Again, depending on the personality, can be very, very easy or very difficult.
Right.
But everyone has the potential to empathize a bit.
Yeah. Unless it's one of those days where they woke up on the hot side of the pillow.
Yeah, man. Those days happen, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. And often, in some guys' cases.
Right.
But again, bringing them back down to earth.
Yeah.
Hey, this isn't an ego thing. This isn't a you thing. This is a customer thing. Okay.
Right.
That's what we're all here for.
Yeah.
Again, you're not installing or putting in a door or a window
On your own home.
just out in the ether like it's
Floating away.
Right. We're the customer ordered this. We're delivering an experience. So take it back from yourself and your own ego or whatever the case is. Approaching this what their expectation is. I tell all of them, treat this as though it's your own home, or your mother's home or whatever the case is. Right. That's the way we have to treat every single one of these interactions. Taking an extra 5 or 10 minutes, that 15 minutes, whatever the case is, 20 seconds in some cases, taking that extra bit to go and exceed expectation, that's key. Communicating every step of the way, key. All these things are very, very important.
Right.
Some guys just want to get in, put their heads down, nose to the grind, and knock it out. They don't want all the extra fluff. Some guys want that.
This is some good meat.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
It's an easy thing to do, right? That's the easy way to go about it. But at the end of the day, for me, what's the fulfillment there?
Yeah.
right? So did you just go in and put a bunch of doors and windows in, or did you genuinely change because again, you're working on, it's their home.
Yeah.
This isn't
This is home base.
Yeah, man, it's not just
you can't be putting in
piece of equipment or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. This is the end all be all for most folks. You wake up every day and you come home every night or whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
That vision you have, we're trying to help them reach that vision.
Right. What's our slogan? Creating the dream home.
And that's it, man. So what's your part in that? Is it just slapping in doors and windows and walking away? Or do you want to be a part of like that end result, that smile?
Yeah. Which is probably at the end of the day the most fulfilling thing.
Yeah, man. For me. Yeah. So some folks are, some folks aren't. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of culture and the kind of stuff I try to instill. Easier with some than others.
Right.
But we get to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all right.
And how do you go about, is the camera working?
Yes.
Oh, you were looking at me like you were about to give me bad news. It's like the show's been cut.
No bad news.
The show's been cut. They want you to cancel the episode. No, but back to that, like, how do you, I'd imagine it's hard to convince all people that work for you that the customer is like getting that smile is the most important thing.
Oh man, near impossible.
Right. And
I like this fully across the board. Yeah, it's
that's
doubt.
good that this is still something in the works. I
Absolutely.
want to pick your brain on that. How do you approach that?
All right. So as far as
we're going to use these tidbits for HR, we're going to send these right over to. You need to watch this.
So you've got So the question is, how do I approach the gap in between? I have a group of guys that are on, the idea of the stuff I'm trying to preach and put into practice, and I have some people that aren't. How do I approach that gap?
Yeah. Or how do you approach the people that aren't on the same wave? And then I guess how do you keep that between the two that are and the two that aren't?
Well, it's a different Kyle.
Yeah.
Right. But so there's a few things I take in consideration. One, how many times have I had this conversation?
Yeah.
Right? And then it goes into a bit more, hey, this is what we need it to be, to, hey, this is how it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And either we work this way or we don't.
Right.
Right. Because we can't keep kicking the can around in a circle.
The metaphoric can.
That's it.
Right.
So, and again, that's still a work in progress for me, man.
Yeah.
So the ones that are on, the same page as me, great. We can work on that and build that up into something even more, beautiful for everybody. And the ones that aren't, I'm trying as best I have the ability to bring them up to that point. And if they can, great. And if they can't, well, we are not the only ones around, right? So if that has to be that way, as much as I don't like it, because I feel like that's a failure on my part, right? If I can't get you to that point, then I failed. Right. Not you, me.
Yeah.
I don't accept failure, Stephen.
Steve, it's Steve. What are you doing?
Sorry. I don't know
a Steven in the room.
Accept failure, Steve. It's not my shtick.
You don't need this shtick. Now, going back to this, I'm sure. Do you have any part in finding candidates? Like, do you work alongside Thomas Wiley on candidate search?
No, not at all. Not one bit.
Not
Thomas.
One. Hey, if you don't know who Thomas is, those listening, he was 2 episodes ago. Check it out. But Thomas, our talent acquisitionist, I was going to kind of pick your brain on, how would you start to find those candidates, or can you tell early on, like, how do you identify that motive? Like, do you think like these people this is their inspiration? That's their inspiration.
So keeping in mind, the only ones that I'm going to have a direct are installers, right? Or warehouse teams or so on. Now, once those have been identified candidate-wise from Thomas, and they've talked with Paul, who was also a couple of episodes back. Check it out.
Right. Linked below. This is the face of the podcast.
At that point, then I'll get in and meet them. Because these are guys I'm going to work with directly, especially installers. That's
right.
Usually a way out before we've even brought them on board. I'm getting a chance to talk to them, get to know them, see what personalities are, kind of gauge in my head what it is.
You identify what kind of shirt they're wearing. Your wife is there. It's 98% ROI.
Yeah. Danielle, is she there? No.
At the hiring process.
No, not so much. I mean, she's there. She's always watching me.
Right. She's probably watching you. She's probably watching right now.
I can guarantee it.
Is she going to watch this podcast? Is she?
Without a doubt.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, without a doubt. So you can count on that. It's one view.
We can count on exactly one listen. That's all we need. That's 100% more than usual.
Yeah, not so much Danielle in that process with Milo. We kind of have our own direct.
Yeah.
Our own lanes we stay in. Right. Which that was a fun conversation starting into this job is how are we going to work with that? Like we live together, now we work together.
Right.
Not just work together. We're in the same office area, more or less. That was a fun thing.
Have I met your wife? Does she work here?
Yes.
In this building?
And this one we're sitting in now.
Oh, she's in the...
Yeah, the better building.
I've never even been there, so that makes sense. Okay. I was going to say, how did I miss it?
Get out more, Stephen.
I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this building. Wow. I forgot the original question.
It's okay.
You're just talking about what do you look for in candidates, and you're a little bit further along in the process, but just like, can you tell
what do I look for?
Well, what you look for, or is there something you see that someone's going to live our motto early on or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I really appreciate this third mic. This is good.
As much as one can, gauge from somebody their own degree of personal accountability, right? Because you got to figure that hiring process, you kind of have to take a bunch of that with a grain of salt, because everybody's going to put on, their shiniest self,
right?
Okay, as far as what it is and who they're actually going to be on the job. They sometimes can be two different things.
Yeah.
Or it can be the same person. Like me, huh? Right, Paige, Paul? All right. So it can be. So as far as me, the main thing I look for is what is your integrity, personal integrity level? Can I gauge it from conversation? I kind of, ask questions that go about. I have no direct examples. It just kind of flows as I'm talking. Respect, not only for your own personal stuff. If I can see that you respect your own personal, so I'm looking at like your vehicle, for example. As you pull up, I'm going to see like, is this thing well taken care of? Because if you take care of your own personal stuff, you take care of your equipment, chances are you're going to take care of the customer's home as well.
Right.
Right.
No, that's good.
So
that's very practical.
You can make that, not always the case, but at least gives you something to try and measure it at first.
Thank goodness I cleaned my Civic out before coming today.
Personal appearance, when they show up to the interview or to meet with that, or they walking in like, whatever, it's just or is it like they actually trying to impress? You can gauge stuff from that. Lots of little different minute details from that beginning bit that can kind of give you an idea of what the person is.
Right.
But then I've also had guys that have shown up in, long curly hair past their shoulders and a tie-dye t-shirt and in a cut-up jeans to a job interview. And I'm like, man, I really need somebody, so let's give this a shot. And then that person turns out to be one of the best employees I ever had.
And his name is Paul Music.
That's right. So I've seen it go both ways. It's not always just a fine, dedicated line, but again, those are like kind of my main measuring points of the initial interaction.
Absolutely. And I was thinking about this while you were talking about making everyone's day, coming with that energy. How do you balance the work life with the personal life? How do you keep coming in and making it happen and making someone else's day, especially since you're leading a team? Like what's your anecdotal advice for that?
I'll let you know, man. I'm gonna see if I get a chance to figure that out. No.
I mean, because obviously you can't. Your attitude will bleed into those who are working for you, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. That's we can both agree on that big time. Whatever energy you come in with is corrupting.
Right.
So whether it be positive
it's
or whether
infectious,
it be negative, there you go. So I try my best when I'm in my best state of mind.
In your zen.
That's it. To be as positive and some might even say silly. I've
goofy,
quirky, no doubt. Just to kind of lighten the atmosphere a bit, right? Because it can get, you've got customers calling in, you've got questions being asked, we don't have direct answers for things can happen, man.
Mm-hmm.
Every day it's something different, and that can wear on you. You might start the day out, and then by the end of the day you're like this, and trying to maintain that bit to like, hey, laugh at Kyle for a minute. If I can do that, I can make you laugh. Okay, if you're angry and having a horrible day,
it's game over.
And I've won. Right, I got you.
Right where you want them.
We can get back into it. And that kind of takes the edge off of a lot of things. Right. So that's something I strive for with really anybody I interact with. One, because it's fun for me, right? That's my victory. I like to see, smile on somebody's face. But that sounds incredibly cheesy as I'm saying this out loud. But
no, I love it.
Honest to God, man, that's really where it's at.
I can think of worse things than a boss.
Yeah, but it's easy to, it's easy to fall into my own stuff from time to time. So by no means perfect. Not perfect. Not at all.
Do you have any fun hobbies, Kyle?
Fun hobbies? They're fun to me.
Yeah.
So,
subjectively fun.
I play...
This is what I really wanted to get the podcast. I want to know about your fun hobbies, Kyle.
I play a lot of nerdy video games and stuff, man.
That's super fun. What are you doing?
I spend a lot of time on that.
What are you playing these days, Kyle?
Oh, man. I've been a World of Warcraft guy since...
No way. A little bit of woe, if you will.
Forever, yeah. Yeah, WoW's been a thing for me for a long time, since its inception, and I've never stopped. I've taken breaks, but I've never fully stopped. And I just can't kick it. So that's number one. But then, I mean, you find something fun on there. I can get a group of friends together and go through. I mean, I've got.
Do you ever take the installers on some WoW?
No. I don't have any good candidates for that, but I've got a handful of people that I've brought over here with me that I know from that and what have you. So I know some folks. That's probably the number one if I'm really on my downtime. I'm trying to be a bit more adventurous. Are you familiar with the term bushcraft? I'm gonna take the look at one of your faces.
Bushcraft.
Bushcraft.
Is that like witchcraft?
What that is that's effectively knowing how to go out into the wilderness and survive, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going out with, a nice cushy tent and a bunch of supplies and a lantern and all that stuff. I'm taking usually I do item challenges, so I'll go with maybe 3 or 4 items. So for me, flint and steel, even though it has 2 words in it, that counts as one.
Yeah.
Don't check it, okay?
We're going to be technical with you.
Yeah, some paracord, right? A hatchet maybe. And
a wife.
Maybe some
No wife?
These are solo ventures, yeah.
Wow.
Maybe some char cloth, to make it a bit easier to start a fire. So anybody listening to this that knows what I'm talking about is going to be like, you are cheating, but it's
good thing I have no idea.
Flint and steel,
Yeah.
so you try that.
Bushcraft.
And then you go out, yeah. So you got to pick your areas right. You got to pick your temperature, your weather, and all that. So that the idea is you're going out there, and I'm going to build my own shelter. So I'm going to do like an Appalachian lean-to or whatever the case is. I'm going to build that, and I'm going to tie it together with paracord if I have to use it. Usually I'm going to try and make my own lashing.
Every time you build something?
Yeah.
Wow.
How many times have you done this?
Yeah. What's this bushcraft thing?
A lot.
Awesome.
I got into it years and years and years ago. And admittedly, Danielle and I have been together for many moons, and I stopped doing that right before she and I became an item, because now I had, a girlfriend that turned into a wife. I don't need to go live in the woods anymore.
Yeah. But some could say the wood living is a personal journey.
Yeah, it was fun. So doing this in like summertime, springtime, those are easy. Fall, doing it in the dead of winter, when it's cold and freezing, it's hard to find food because I'm not bringing any food.
Right.
That's fun.
You wouldn't do that.
Typically, I'm fishing. I'm a fishing guy.
Yeah.
So you got guys that go and trap and do stuff like that or hunt. I'm not a big hunter. I know how to trap, but mostly I'm fishing. So fishing's a bit hard to do in the wintertime.
Right.
Was it dreams to be on Survivor?
Yeah. No. What was that about?
No, just for fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys in the so like Les Stroud. I'm a very big fan of. A lot of respect for him. He used to do like that shit Survivor Man. You ever watch that on Discovery Channel? So that's kind of sort of in the same kind of game or realm is what he's doing, and I kind of got involved, interested in that, and then a bunch of regular camping and hiking, and then I kind of went into, well, what if I didn't have this nice tent with me? How long could I survive? Or what if I didn't have this cooler full of hot dogs and hamburgers and drinks and what have you? Yeah. Could I sterilize my own water supply? Could I fish enough to feed myself? Could I forage enough to feed myself? And answer those questions, because I'm no tinfoil hat guy, but there may be a day where you need to know how to do that stuff. And if you don't, well, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Hey, you'd be proud of me. I went out to Powhatan State Park.
Okay.
I bought a tent.
Yes. It's very dangerous.
Off Amazon.
Yeah.
And now I know this is going to come from a shock. This is really going to really surprise you, but I'm not much of an outdoorsman.
Okay.
Well, I'm not used to the bare minimum, like camping.
Okay.
I'll travel, we'll do our thing.
Right.
But I went and I brought a little propane tank, and I was able to make a little stove.
Okay.
So I'm catching up to you pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we're about 1-to-1.
Yeah, I would love to go bushcrafting with you.
You sure you can handle it?
No, I can't handle it.
Okay, man.
That's
all right. So
I can't do that bushcraft.
I respect. I've brought folks with me before, and usually it's a shortened trip.
Is there a long wait list for the bushcraft journey?
No. Again, man, we're like 6-7 years out at this point. I haven't been in quite a long time. I still have all that. I still occasionally go and just make sure I refine my craft, so to speak.
Right.
But I haven't actually been dedicatedly out in the woods in a long time. So maybe I should start, Danielle, since you're watching.
The bushcrafting could be a very apocalyptic technique. If the world ends and you got to go out in the woods, you can bushcraft.
Not everybody's going to have a bunker 100 feet underground encased in concrete. There's going to be a lot of us running around,
catching fish,
trying to catch fish
in the winter,
or frogs or whatever's coming around. Man, you got to eat. I hope not. I really hope not, for the world's sake. But if it, it's a thing. Man, it's got dark.
Just find Kyle. Yeah, we'll just find Kyle.
Just find me.
You're going to have your team of installers and you're going to be fighting off zombies.
Yeah.
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 Now, hobby number 3, what is it? You got World of Warcraft, bushcrafting, a lot of crafting.
Hobby number 3 is, I guess just fishing in general. I kind of enjoy that. Freshwater specifically. I don't do a lot of saltwater stuff. And then number 4 is being a parent, Steve. Being a parent.
Are you a father?
I am.
Congratulations.
I am. I do. I have a child.
I'm surprised I'm surprised that was number 4 on the list.
Well, I don't want them to think too highly of themselves.
But perhaps maybe if your wife watches it with him, that's 2 viewers. Or how many kids do you have?
Yeah, she by far is much more of a dedicated individual than I am. Mom is all about it. It is not a balanced task at all, but I try my best.
Right.
But I can't live up to her. She is a phenomenal mother. So,
Yeah.
And now it's on the records. I've said it in front of people.
And I'm going to clip this into a video just so she can have it. But how long have you been a papa?
Let's see. So she was a package deal. She came with the kid. Okay. So that's my daughter
A
Shelby.
2 for 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. She's 14 and sassy. And then I've got my 3-year-old son, Kyle Jr., because I was very creative when I decided to name him.
You didn't name him Steve?
Did not name him Steve.
Perhaps another time.
I mean, there's always...
No,
there
never
isn't,
know.
actually.
Oh.
No, there isn't.
On the record.
That ain't happening.
But I'm upset he's not Steve. That'd been cool.
If I have another son, Steve will be in the consideration list, I promise you. Up there.
Excellent.
Up there. Yeah, I promise you.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people coming in the backdrop right now of our podcast studio.
It's okay. They're jealous.
Well, there's some sales happening back there.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, what's our time frame on?
We're at 41, so we're probably.
Oh my goodness.
We're probably time to wrap up.
Wow.
We didn't talk about any of the important
Oh,
stuff.
time just flew by.
There's some good segments. I don't know if this will make it into the pod, but from like 15 to 25, there's some solid content.
No, absolutely.
And then there's some fun content at the back end here.
I think we should keep this in.
I agree.
Yeah. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure you follow the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe and like the video. If you think of someone that could benefit from hearing what Kyle said about leadership, team management, and bushcrafting, make sure you send it to them, text it to them, copy the link, send it away. Once again, I hope you're having a wonderful Friday while you're listening. Thank you, Kyle, for being
welcome.
here. If you are new to the Renewal by Anderson Richmond Window game, we would love to hear from you. Give us a call. If you're a continued customer, I hope this gave you more of an insight into our culture. And we hope you'll come back and tune into the other episodes. Thank you, Andrew Phillips, for co-hosting.
Yeah, that was fun.
Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Hold on, are we done? I'm not done yet. Hold on. I got a few things. Hold on, everybody. Can we all agree that Steve here looks as though he has the capability to bench press the entire continental shelf? He has giant arms, and nobody talks about it. It's as big as my head, honestly, one of his biceps. And I'm trying to talk into a microphone and do this thing in the cans. Hey, Andrew, what's up, man?
What's up?
And I'm just so intimidated by, again, it's not fair. Look at me. I have those skinny, tiny guy arms.
But
and
you
here
can
I am.
but you can survive in the woods. You can catch fish. I can't.
Yeah, but I can't, like, crush a man's head and like.
Hey, I appreciate. I'm glad. I'm definitely gonna clip this as well.
I'm just saying, you know,
I'm
nobody
sure,
talks about it, and I'm sick of it.
Thank you.
Want to talk about your.
You know what, Andrew? Keep the episode.
It's on. We're rolling. All
We're
this
not
is on.
stop. I'm actually training for a bodybuilding show right now.
Awesome,
So
really?
I appreciate you.
No joke. Seriously?
No joke.
Awesome, man.
I've lost almost. I started at 242 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm 215 as this morning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
See, I
appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, for the longest time as a kid, man, I had like super high metabolism, right? So I just stayed 130 pounds. It didn't matter what I ate, what I did. That has changed. But you know, I respect you guys, man, because I tried to like get into a bit of that, right? It was like a personal trainer and tried to bulk up a bit and get out of this frame I've hated forever. So respect to the guys put in the work, man, because it ain't me.
Hey, it's not easy.
It ain't
He's
me.
been struggling too.
Yeah,
Like he has to eat these prep
I
meals.
know. I know enough. Like I follow Eddie Hall's my favorite. Like
I love Eddie Hall.
super muscle guys, right? I'm still not happy about.
Yeah,
that.
I've got.
We don't have to talk about that.
I've got. There's a lot of meat in what you just said about the frame that we'd love to unpack. We'll have you on for episode 2, and we'll talk about all.
Steve's going to have you on his personal podcasting.
Yeah, we're gonna make you a host. But listen, if you're listening, make sure you share the episode and do all the things I mentioned prior before Kyle was talking about my biceps.
Sorry,
Make sure you like it, share it, send it to your family.
I'm not sorry, dude. To be said.
You know,
Keep going, Steve.
absolutely, and and just make sure you. Make sure you follow our social pages. Keep up to date with what we're doing. We got October sales running very soon. And thank you for listening to Wind of the Soul. We'll be back next Friday. Not with Kyle, but with
Unless
Paige.
enough of you actually chime
That's
in.
the CEO.
Unless
Mr.
enough of you actually chime in to say that you demand Kyle be on all of these. Okay, we're going to see that in the votes.
I think
Let's get it.
people
And for
are
every
gonna want this.
Yeah,
if
I
we can
think-
go ahead and establish for every thumbs up on this video, if that we can count it as a vote that Kyle needs to be a part of these, all of these. Thumbs up the video, please. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Window of the Soul, everybody. Steve, Andrew, thank you for having me. It's been a great time.
He's out.
Fantastic weekend. Thank you.